Hey, welcome to the second course for the song Mansion from NF's debut album by the same name, Mansion, from 2015. I'm musically malnourished, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. This is where we do a deep dive into the lyrics and meaning behind the music. If you want to watch the react first, you can do that, and I'll also leave a little link for it at the end so that you can make sure you go see that. But let's go ahead and jump on over and give this song a closer look. All right. NF explains in his album promo video that his mind is a mansion. Every song on the album is a different emotion. Very cool. A different story. NF reminisces on his past mistakes and memories. Each song on the album is a different room. That's awesome. Insidious is blind inception. Okay, let me try to figure this out before I click on it. There's a lot here. Is insidious just means like evil, right? Evil intent. Blind inception. An inception is like a planted thought. So maybe the definition's in a second when I click on it to give me a little bit more understanding. But I guess at first thought, especially understanding where he goes into this idea of fear being this person that's living with him that he's tried to put out. These evil thoughts, these dark thoughts are kind of like you didn't necessarily want to put them there. That's why it's blind. It wasn't necessarily a conscious choice, but they exist there deep in your mind, deep in your psyche. I don't know. Let's see. This indicates that a blind, unknowing, or unaware beginning can sneak up on someone in a cunning, surreptitious, treacherous, and harmful manner, such as a disease or an infection. Well, and let's also look at the definition of insidious just to get further clarity. No, not the movie. Insidious means proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. Okay. Proceeding in a gradual, subtle way with harmful effects. Other treacherous, crafty. So with that in mind, yeah. Okay, so I think it is that idea of these dark thoughts, this fear kind of making its way in. What's reality with all these questions? Feels like I missed my alarm and slept in. That's interesting. And this is one line that I was like not really certain of when they were singing it. If I missed my alarm, this idea of kind of being in a still like a sleep state. I don't know. It's kind of what it speaks to me in this idea of with blind inception, the questioning of reality is this almost separation's not the right word, but kind of like being in the Matrix to an extent, that you're having trouble separating reality from not reality. I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying. But let's see what this says. NF uses slept as a way of saying he's been dismissive. He uses alarm to extend this point. He says that when the time came for him to wake up or face up to the facts, he decided to avoid confronting his issues and lived like he normally would. And now that he started to realize what was actually happening, he feels all the regret that accompanies his procrastination. I mean, I can understand that viewpoint. But I don't know, it just feels like it connects more to this idea of just struggling with reality and like I'm kind of somewhat still in a sleep state. I feel like I've got these broken legs, but I chase perfection, like you're never going to reach it. These walls are my blank expression. My mind is a home I'm trapped in, and it's lonely inside this mansion. Yo, my mind is a house with walls covered in lyrics. They're all over the place. There's songs in the mirrors, written all over the floors, all over the chairs, and you get the uncut version of life when I go downstairs. You know what this reminds me of? Have you ever seen like the Doodle Cafe? Is that what it's called? I'll show you what I'm trying to find. Let's do this. Cafe with white walls and doodles all around. Yeah. Which there's different iterations of this, and there are some that are literally just doodles everywhere. I saw an artist the other day, but this is kind of what comes to mind for me. Isn't that crazy? Oh. Yeah, this is different what I'm thinking about. This is probably a little closer. They just filled the whole wall with doodles. How fun would that be to create a room like that in your home? Let your kids get in on it. But that's kind of the picture I see, not necessarily all the white walls, but just almost for me, I feel like darker walls. Almost kind of an older, abandoned somewhat mansion. And there's just writing everywhere. You get the uncut version of life when I go downstairs. That's where I write when I'm in a bad place and need to release and let out the version of NF you don't want to see. I put holes in the walls with both my fists till they bleed. You might get a glimpse of how I cope with all this anger in me. Physically abused. Now that's the room that I don't want to be in. I wonder if he has some for his music being very clean, he's probably got like all these things written that are just full of language. Just his uncut version, he's just angry. And be curious if he's got like songs he knows. Now, almost like a personal diary. No, I'm never going to bring these ones out, but it's just I had to get it out of me. Physically abused. No, that's the room I don't want to be in. That picture ain't blurry at all. I just don't want to see it. What I feel like in that is it's not hard for him to recall, like he vividly remembers that period in life, because I know there are some people that may face abuse and it was either they like, sometimes your mind has a way of protecting itself by making you forget. I'm a very forgetful person in that way, which sometimes works to my advantage of just not letting personal offenses keep me from being who I want to be, or even being a friendly person, or just kind of getting over an offense pretty quickly. But I know as well sometimes it's your brain's way of protecting you. And so there are people, or maybe it was very early in life that you faced situations and it's just like, it's hard for me to even remember or recall it, or you didn't until many years later in life. Was it repression is what it's called? So it sounds to me this picture's not blurry. Like it's not hard for me to remember, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to think about it. These walls ain't blank. I just think I don't want to see them. But why not? I'm in here, so I might as well read them. I got to thank you for the anger that I carry around. Wish I could take a match and burn this whole room to the ground. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to burn this room right now. Somehow this memory, for some reason, just won't burn. Man. Because how many times do you want to forget something? Do you want to just erase it, burn it to the ground? But you can't, especially if the mansion is your mind, It's more so just how do you learn to deal with it? And I guess, again, coping can be a word, but more so how do you gain the tools that when you feel that way, it's kind of the same thing with anxiety, right? That sometimes you can't help being anxious. It's just that hopefully you learn over time, and sometimes you'll have greater victories than others, but that you learn these mechanisms, these tools of that when those things enter my mind, when this fear hits me, I've learned how to deal with it. I can't always get rid of it, but I've figured out what to do with it. You used to put me in the corner so you could see the fear in my eyes. That's so heartbreaking. You took me downstairs, beat me till I screamed and I cried. Congratulations, you'll always have a room in my mind, but I'm going to keep the door shut and lock the lyrics inside. Insidious is blind. Okay, so we're back into that. Yo, my mind is a house with walls covered in pain. See, my problem is I don't fix things. I just try to repaint. That stood out to me in the song for sure. And similar to the idea that we were just having, sometimes like that's just what you have to do to move on. But other times, especially if you're talking about maybe not necessarily things other people did to you, your own things that you can put in the work, you can get better at, you can heal from, but man, the emotional weight or the just what's required sometimes to really deal with those things, or you just tell yourself like, it's fine, it's not a big deal, and it raises its ugly head and you kind of like get past it, it's no big deal, where it's like, no. Like we gotta spend some time on this. We gotta see someone, talk to someone, read a book, confide, whatever it is. Because sometimes if you just try to repaint, it's interesting because we had a building that was like a church building, and before we painted the walls, everybody went in and wrote with Sharpie like scriptures and prayer requests, things like that on the walls, and then we painted the walls. But it's funny with the Sharpie, and maybe it's the paint we got too. Over time, the Sharpie just begins to show through the wall. Again, you have to like repaint it. And there are certain spots, it's like no matter how many times we repaint, like the Sharpie eventually just shows back through. And so that's kind of the same thing, right? You just try to keep repainting it, but there are some things that like doesn't matter how many times you paint it. It's just going to keep coming through. It's time to change the walls, right? Are you confused? Come upstairs and I'll show you what I mean. This room's full of regrets. It just keeps getting fuller, it seems. Jeez, dude. Moment I walk into it, it's the same moment I want to leave. Wow. This is so powerful, especially when you're talking about a room of regrets, right? There obviously the room of abuse, like he doesn't even want to go in. But you're talking about revisiting regret? That's a hard place to go because you can't change anything about it other than moving forward. Regret can be a good teacher. It's a terrible king. It can be a room to visit, but it's a bad room to live in. I get so sick to my stomach every time I look at these things. And this is kind of the same thing I was saying about the room you live in. But it's hard to look past when it's the room where I sleep. I look around, one of the worst things I wrote on these walls was the moment I realized I was losing my mom. One of the first things I wrote was, I wish I would have called, but I should just stop now. Ain't got enough room in this song. And I regret the fact that I struggled to find who I am, and I lied to myself and say I do the best that I can. Man, oh gosh, dude, it's so relatable, right? I'm doing the best I can. It's like, yeah, really? Which I heard somebody one time, they said, adding the word really to the end of certain questions to yourself is illuminating. Are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm happy. Are you happy really? Because that causes you to really put into question the claim that you're making. Shrug it off like it ain't nothing, like it's out of my hands, then get ticked off whenever I see it affecting my plans. You're just angry at yourself, ultimately. I regret watching these trust issues eat me alive, and at the rate I'm going, they'll probably still be there when I die. I found that really interesting during the song as well, because it is that idea that's like, you can't chase perfection. And if we're going to be in NF's music, he has a deep belief in God. As a follower of Jesus, he's a Christian. And the reality is there's only one perfect man, and his name is Jesus. He died and rose from the grave so that you didn't have to be perfect. And if you even try to bring perfection to God, he doesn't want it. What he wants you to say is, I'm broken. I'm in need. Your son is the one who's perfect. And what happens through what Jesus did when you place your faith in him is called, he imputes his righteousness to you. So when you stand before God, you don't say, look at my righteousness. You point to Jesus and you say, look at his righteousness. Look what he did. He earned it for me. Sure, pray, read your Bible, go to church, do good things. That's all great, but you're not going to stand before God one day and say, hey, I had perfect attendance at church. No, make up in your heart now. You're going to stand and say, it was him. He did it all. He's the one that's worthy. And so the reality too is that idea of chasing perfection is, yeah, you're going to die with imperfections. The whole point, like, let's get better, but you're not going to get perfect. And yeah, you'll still be working on things till the day you die. Congratulations, you'll always have a room in my mind. The question is, will I ever clean the walls off in time? So this part of my house, no one's been in it for years. I built a safe room and I don't let no one in there. We talked about this a good bit in the reaction, so I probably won't spend too much time here. Because if I do, there's a chance they might disappear and not come back. And I admit I'm emotionally scared. So yeah, that's just the idea that you've let people in before, they've harmed you, and you're afraid to let them back in. But you can also miss out on so much. Friendships, opportunities, healthy marriage. To let anyone inside, so I just leave my doors locked. You might get other doors to open up, but this door's not. Yeah, you can explore other things about me. And that's the truth too. And we talked about the wisdom in that you don't have to let everybody in every room of your house, metaphorically speaking. There are people that need to earn your trust. Flat out. Be the kind of person that you want in your life, right? That understands discretion, that is a good listener, that isn't always trying to fix you. And so the reality is when you're around people, there are doors of your house that you will open up to them, but there are some doors you will leave locked, and that's perfectly fine. You just have to understand when is the time to eventually let somebody in, because sometimes you will have to take a chance. And hopefully it goes well, but it may not always. I don't want you to have the opportunity to hurt me, and I'll be the only person I can blame when you desert me. I'm barricaded inside, so stop watching. I'm not coming to the door, so stop knocking. I'm trapped here. God keeps saying I'm not locked in. I chose this. I'm lost in my own conscience. I know that shutting the world out ain't solving the problem, but I didn't build this house because I thought it would have solved them. I built it because I thought it was safer in there. But it's not. Here's where fear enters, right? I'm not the only thing that's living in here. Ooh, that gave me chills when that came into the song. This is very dark, ominous. There's somebody in there with you. Fear came to my house years ago. I let him in. Maybe that's the problem because I've been dealing with this ever since. I thought that he would leave, but it's obvious he never did. He must have picked a room and got comfortable and settled in. So you got a whole room, got a guest bedroom for fear in your house. Now I'm in a position, it's either sit here and let him win or put him back outside where he came from, but I never can. Because in order to do that, I'd have to open the doors. Is that me or the fear talking? I don't know anymore. Wow. So strong, man. So strong. Well, let me know your thoughts on the song. If there's anything you felt like I missed or you want to elaborate on or share your perspective, I'd love to have a conversation in the comments. But thanks for joining me for this one. I hope to see you in the next one because we're eating good.